All right, I think we are likely live here. And as is often the case, I get in a bunch of stuff, and I figured I just got to get my Amazon thing going here. I get in a bunch of stuff. Let me get the Amazon started, and then we'll start talking. So there we go. So as usual, I get in a bunch of stuff every week, and not all of it makes it to one of the two channels because sometimes it's not so great. But these are the types of things that I used to kind of look at in private and never share with anybody. Now we live stream me playing around with some of this stuff. So I think some things here are going to be worthwhile, and others probably will not be, but we'll see. So on the docket for today to look at, we have the Logitech Combo Touch, and this is for the entry-level iPad. So this has got the trackpad and the keyboard, which apparently is backlit. And this is only going to work with the new 7th generation entry-level device. So that's what this is for. But it turns your inexpensive iPad into something more because, of course, now the trackpad works with it. So we'll take a look at that first. And I got a bunch of people popping into the chat. We got Recipe Bob, DK Savage, Landon Cooley, Spuds, and Tug and Thug are all here. Welcome, everybody. So that's item 1 on the docket. Item 2 and item 3 are going to kind of go together because this is another one of these inexpensive capture devices. The documentation is like terrible on this because on their Amazon product description they're saying it doesn't work, but I think they got their wording, their language wrong. But this is a device that will convert your HDMI video to USB, so you can use it as a capture device or it can record, so they say. So we'll try that out. Again, I haven't taken any of these things out of the box yet. And then after we set this thing up, we'll hook this thing up if we've got time. This is the Keymander 2. And this, I'd love to get some opinions on this because this is like a game controller translator. So you could take a PlayStation controller and use it on a GameCube and a Switch or a Switch controller and use it on an Xbox. We'll try a couple of those things. I'll have to do a little bit more offline. But what I want to test on the stream today is that they say that this will allow you to use a keyboard and a mouse with your game console. Now this is probably going to be cheating, right? Because if you're playing against people with controllers and you're using a keyboard and a mouse, that's giving you, I think, a bit of an advantage. So I'd love to hear some opinions on this. What we're going to do to test it so that we're not controversial is we're going to test it with a single-player game on the Switch today on the stream, and then I'll try a few other things out as well later. So that's the game plan. So we'll see how it comes together. David Yablonsky is here. You are not too late. We just started. So it's another. I like to call these streams office hours, where this is when I would usually be evaluating products. It's a Wednesday afternoon, and it's amazing how fast the day goes. It's crazy. And what happens is when I'm shooting videos, it takes a really long time to shoot them sometimes, at least for me. So if you look at your day as a bunch of like 2-hour blocks, there isn't many of them, right? You've got 3 or 4 blocks of time that you can do anything in. But I had my coffee. And before I started streaming, I spilled it all over my desk. So it's a good thing I can buy paper towels again. So let us take this out of the box here. David Martin Graff wants to know if I reviewed the Lolo Live box. I have not, but I'd love to find out more about it because I'm always looking for capture devices. And yeah, so this is for the 7th generation iPad 10.2. And there's 2 parts to it. So what you've got here is the keyboard and trackpad. And then there's also a case that goes with it. So those are the two parts to it. And I gotta just take off the plastic here to get this going. And there's a spot on it also for your Apple Pencil. And it looks like the case here has a little kickstand on it as well. So that's how that works. And as it turns out, even though I reviewed one of these a while ago and had bought one, I don't actually own a 10.2-inch iPad. However, I was thinking, geez, do I have to get one now? Because we get in a lot of these accessories. And then I remembered I bought my mother one for the holidays. So I went over to my mother's place and picked up her iPad. So you can see my daughter's on the front cover there. So this is Mom's iPad, and we're going to see how this works here. So what I am looking for on this is whether or not, this goes in pretty easy actually. What I'm looking for on this is whether or not the trackpad will work with all the gestures and everything. So that's what we're on the lookout for here. Let me pop into this. Okay, so, oh, there's another cute picture of my girls there. It's from last year. So let's put this on here. There we go. And then, boom. Okay, so we've got ourselves an iPad here. And I think she locked the orientation. There we go. Yeah, all right. There we go. Okay, so now I'm just going to load up. Let me tilt the camera down a little bit here. Now, what's interesting about the iPad right now is that you could go out and you could get the iPad Pro and have all those fancy features, but you're going to get all the same features on the entry-level iPad. And sometimes these sell for like $249. I mean, look how nice these screens are. From a tablet standpoint, you're not going to get much better than these things for sure. All right, so the mouse is working, which I expected it to. Of interest here is that, I don't even know what is she playing on here? Oh my gosh, she plays all those stupid games. Of interest on here is that the gestures appear to be working, so that's really good. Let me pop into the Photos app here, because that was one issue that we had with, yeah, look at that. So that's working. Pretty cool. So that seems to work. I mean, what else do you test on this, right? The gestures work. They didn't work before. Now, I think there was a few other, so that's the up thing, and then what else do we have for, oh, then the four, right, so the 4-finger shuffle when you're in an app. So let's go to Photos. Yep, there you go. So that's working like you would expect it to. Let me get out of her settings here. So if I'm in Photos, I can just do the 4-finger slide here. Yes, all those gestures work. Now, apparently, this is also a backlit keyboard, and it's powered through that smart connector. So let's do the overhead view. And let's see if I can turn on the backlight. That's the brightness, the screen brightness. Oh, it is. I can see it. It is back. The lighting is on, but of course, it's too bright in here to see it. So I'll have to do some B-roll on that. And so it looks like, so here's my other gripe with, so when I was looking at that Apple keyboard for the iPad Pro, one of my biggest concerns with it was the fact that the keyboard wouldn't, yeah, so this is the same problem. Because I liked, what I like about the Apple keyboard is that you can, right, I don't want to walk around with two different things. So that issue persists here. I mean, you do get a nice folio. It adds some bulk, though, I will say that. It's a wraparound case. And does it shut down the screen? Yeah, it does. So it puts itself to sleep. And actually, if I remember, the Apple keyboard was slipping quite a bit on the screen. This doesn't appear to be doing that. So this feels a little better. So not bad, but this will not work with the iPad Pro. This only works with the 10.2-inch one. So yeah, it looks pretty durable. So Nigel Mack says, can we have some coverage of the Salcom 1B? Stage 1 is coming back to LZ1. Was that the one they launched yesterday or the day before? Because I think they did just launch one. I don't think they're doing one today, are they? And he's talking about the SpaceX launch the other day. Let me look that up real quick and see if there's something going off. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that launched yesterday. Oh, will launch. Okay. Okay, so that's going up. When is it going off? So I think it's going to launch on July 25th. So yeah, if we're around, maybe I'll do something about it. Because they're going to land if they land at LZ1, basically they're going to land it back at the cape, it looks like. So we'll check that out. So that's it. I think this is not bad. It's, you know, like all the other accessories for the iPad, it's not inexpensive. So this is $149, but this is less expensive than Apple's $350 keyboard for the iPad Pro. And by the way, this little thing up here is for your Apple Pencil, so it has a place to store the pencil too. But it works. It works. And I'm probably gonna have to do. I'm just trying to think about, you know, in the review, I'll probably have to go through and show how the mouse works and some of the different gestures you can do with it, because I'm guessing a lot of people will be wondering, what do I need a trackpad for on an iPad? And as you can see here, the little mouse runs around and it'll stick to icons, so it just doesn't roll over them. It kind of gets stuck on them, and then you can have a better shot at getting that. So pretty neat stuff. All right, so that is part one. I am okay with this. Okay, so that's that. You know, the only thing I will say this, there's only one issue I'm seeing with this, is that and this is probably good, I guess, but it's very quick to detach itself. So what I just did when I put it back together, so here we were in keyboard mode, flop this back, I guess it's okay. It was popping off very easily. So yeah, it does. I mean, the one issue I've got is that it does add a lot of thickness. It just feels like I'm carrying something much more substantial. So it's definitely adding some weight to the mix. So yeah, there you go. All right, so that's ready to go. I'll think about shooting that one later today. I got to shoot it later today because I got to get that back to my mom. All right, so next up, I think we'll do the capture device next, because let me get that up on my Amazon carousel. And the reason is that we're going to use the Switch in a little bit, and why not capture its video with this thing, right? So this is the Narver Capture U2 HD 60 Pro. So they kind of ripped off Elgato. I don't know what this costs. I think this might be like 50 bucks. Am I right about that? That's pretty cheap. Let me look it up real quick. This is like a third-party seller thing. So specs on it, in case you're curious, is it'll do 1080p, 60 FPS max. It's got a built-in H.264 encoder. And I'm going to be really curious as to what the bit rate is on that. And we'll take a look at that in a second. So let me look up the product page here on Amazon. So I think that might help us. Narvi Capture. And I'll pull this up so you can see it here in a second. So vMix Desktop Capture. So bear with me for 1 second, and I will get the screen up from my MacBook here so you can see what I'm looking at. And almost there. Okay, here I am. So let's go to display 1, and we'll take it live. Okay, so there's only 2 left, so go on my link in the video description and get yours today. Here's my live stream that's happening right now. And let's look at the description. I seem to remember the description being longer than this, but maybe they sent me some. I can't remember. I just remember seeing more about this than I'm seeing right here on screen. So it comes with CyberLink Screen Recorder. Now it's going to work standalone or as a capture device, but I don't believe it does both. So it's one or the other. All right, so let's open it up here. And again, by the way, if you see anything you're interested in, the link in the video description will take you over to Amazon, where most of this stuff should be in stock. All right, there we go. So here is the capture device. Pretty simple. You've got a USB port there. That's what you're going to connect to the PC. HDMI in. And then you have a mode switcher. This does not feel like a very high quality switch. Like I said, you can't use it to capture and record at the same time. So it's either in capture mode or SD recording mode. And then there's the SD card slot there. And I happen to have a card handy that will pop in there. So let's put the card in. Oh, it's one of those cards that you really got to get in with your fingernail. Okay. All right, so that's it. It looks like it's probably bus powered. There's a software, so that it comes with like the CyberLink software. I'll leave that in the box. I don't use that. I mean, everyone's not going to be using the software. They probably could have saved some money on the cost. This costs, by the way, $47, so just under $50. All right, instructions. There's a start guide. So maybe I'll look at that start guide real quick. And they do have a link here. So let me grab my phone out and we'll scan that. Here's a little trick on, and I think the Android phones do this too. If you take a picture of a QR code or just point the camera, this is from the regular camera app, you can get to a web page. Now, of course, don't you love it? Like, they go through the trouble of putting that QR code and then the link doesn't work. I mean, come on. Really? So we will need to find support center. And I'm guessing there's not much to this. I mean, the page is there, maybe. And here's like a whole bunch of this one does, okay, it was work with Windows 10. Of course it does. I'm just looking through some of the specs here. And we'll plug it into my vMix system and just see how it functions here. Okay. So let's go back to, hang on, I'm just going to load my Amazon app back up here again. And make sure we're selected there still. Okay. So I think what we'll do, maybe we'll just get my computer out, hook it up to that. So Joe Deho says there's a new keyboard trackpad out for the iPad Pro 11. I would love to know what that is. So if you could, let me know what it's called. I'll take a look and see if I can get one in, because I've been looking for one. Yeah, so I put, so I'm working on something. So here's what usually, I'm sorry, for people not following the chat on Amazon. Spuds is talking about Die Hard behind me. So that's the Sega Saturn Die Hard trilogy game. And the reason why that's up there is that last week we did the installation, or actually over the weekend, we did the installation of that Sega Saturn drive emulator thing. And I needed to, and so that was where that came from. But the reason why it's up there is that usually there's a Newton on the shelf. And my Newton is actually off the shelf right now because I've been using it a little bit. I'm going to have a video talking about some of the changes that they're adding to iOS 14 on the iPad. One of the things that they're doing is they're bringing back handwriting recognition, which the Newton had all along. And what's interesting is that the iPad's handwriting recognition is very similar to what the Newton system did. Like, it feels very similar. So I thought I would show how it works. And there are a few areas where the Newton might still be a little better, believe it or not. So we're going to check that out. And the Die Hard trilogy is a fun game. In fact, it's got a light gun mode. I had it on the PlayStation. I got eaten alive by bugs the other night. I had it on the PlayStation, and we played that quite a bit because it has like a Virtua Cop kind of level, like the second game. It's a light gun game with like destructible environments and stuff, and it looked a heck of a lot better back in the day than it does now. I will say that. All right. DC147 says he wouldn't be surprised if there's some code from the Newton in that. I wouldn't be surprised either, to be honest with you. All right, so I think what we'll do is we'll get my Nintendo Switch out because the Switch we're going to use with the next thing we're going to take out of the box. And we may as well kind of kill two birds with one stone here and do some capturing with this. So it does come with an HDMI cable. and we got the card in here. My assumption is that this won't require, presumably, it won't require any drivers to install. It should just kind of work, but we'll see. So let me get this hooked up to my PC over there. Now, if something happens to the stream when I plug this in, I will be right back. I hope not, but we're just going to pop it right into my PC that I'm streaming from right now. Probably never a good idea to do that kind of thing. All right, so it's in PC mode right now. Did you hear that? The Windows beep happened. And this is the danger of using a regular PC now to do my production work. I used to use the TriCaster exclusively, which was just dedicated to this and this only. This PC, while dedicated to video production, could do anything. But at the same time, we can add it, hopefully, as a capture source. So let me show you. I'm going to give you my screen input here. So let's go to local desktop capture, and I'm going to put this up on screen for you. So let's see if it shows up as a camera. And yep, it's showing up right here. Perfect. Okay, so before we start capturing with this, though, what I want to do is get the switch hooked up. And the switch is going to do, we're going to try two things out, because my video system is only at 30 frames per second right now. So what we'll do is we'll hook the switch up and see if it can smoothly capture video running at 60 frames per second. And I'll get my switch dock out here. Got my HDMI cable. Got the power cable. And we're going to need this switch dock for the little joystick thing where we're going to play around with as well. Okay, so let's plug the switch dock in. And we need to get some power to the monitor. So let's hook that up. Now, the one issue with this capture board is that it doesn't have a pass-through. So what you'll need to make this work is a splitter. And it just so happens that I took my splitter out the other day, so I have one handy, because there is only, here, I'll show you on my second view here. So go to camera 2. There's only an HDMI input. So normally something like this would be more useful if it had an in and an out, because now we've got to get the splitter out. So let me grab that real quick. You see how these things escalate. So let's find that splitter. And I was just using it like 2 days ago, or yesterday actually. Where did it go? So I haven't yet put it away. At least I don't think I put it away. Here it is. In fact, it's still on and plugged in. It's been plugged in all weekend, or all week. Okay, so what we're going to do is, so let me show you what the splitter looks like here. And this one is a, you can find these all over Amazon. This is a little 4K splitter. So you put one in on this end, and then it spits out two on the other. And this will do 4K 60. What it doesn't do, though, is that it doesn't support the 4K copy protection. So if you're looking to do 4K copy protection, you're not going to get it on here. I do think it will work with the HDCP stuff, though. So it's not totally useless, but it's not totally useful. Okay, so we got another HDMI cable here. We're just going to plug this into the back of the monitor. And this is that AOC monitor that I bought a while back. What's nice about this monitor is that it is a relatively low-cost monitor that supports FreeSync, and it supports G-Sync. I should probably add this to the Amazon product carousel right now. Let me do that real quick. Just got to find the part number on this one. So I know everyone's always curious what I use for stuff. So give me 1 second. I'll pull that up real quick. And you can see which monitor I'm using. And of course, as usual, it's out of stock. This is here, I'll show you what it looks like here. This is quite a popular monitor. Yeah, was this the one I bought? This has got the higher stand, so I have the one without the adjustable stand. I just have this one. So it's the same monitor, just a different stand choice. And this one is unfortunately out of stock. But let me add it to the product twister, or the product carousel anyhow, just so that people can find it here on the stream. So let me paste this in, and we'll add that to stream. And I found the monitor to be pretty good. It's a it's a TN display, but I found that when you're in a high resolution environment, or high frame rate environment, it actually looks really good. In fact, one of the nicer TN displays I have looked at. All right, so let's go back to the dashboard here. Patrick Chang is here. Aaron Johnson is here. Dom is here. Dom wants to know if the capture thing would work on Chrome OS. That is a good question. And as it turns out, my Chromebook is over there, so we'll try that in a minute. I don't know. I don't know. But I have my I have the Google Pixelbook Go over there. So we will give that a shot in a minute. Okay, so now we've got the splitter hooked up. And now what I'm going to do is, because we have, I'll move the dock out of the way so you can see what's going on. So this dock is connected to the input on the switcher, and then we're going to hook up the HDMI cable on the outstream, and then we'll put our switch in there and see if it comes up. Okay, and I would imagine that this looks like a little button here. So let's go get the switch and plug that in. And we're going to do two things with this. We are going to, first of all, see if it can deliver video to the PC. And I would be surprised if it did not do that. And I just realized that I have neglected to bring down my controller for the Nintendo Switch. And although I could detach the Joy-Cons, that's complicated given the fact that the Joy-Con I have over here is one of those aftermarket ones that doesn't have a switch on it. So give me 1 second, everybody. I will be back in just a minute. I got to run upstairs and grab, I got to go grab that controller. So I will be right back. Talk amongst yourselves. And I'm just going to walk up the stairs and go another flight up and then another flight up. I'm still walking because we have we actually have two Nintendo Switches, but the other one is the little mini switch, which doesn't work in the dock. Okay. Okay. I am back. See, I get a lot of exercise just going up and down stairs all day. Okay, so now what we should see is the game coming up on screen. So this lit up green, so it's getting a video signal. All right, so there we go. So now this is video coming out of the splitter, not out of the device just yet. So what I'm going to do now is switch over to this view. And we're going to go to camera, and we're going to add that one. And this is coming in at 60p or 5994. And hopefully it doesn't crash my system. Okay. Well, that's not good, is it? That looks terrible. Now, this is coming through, through vMix, but it's like running super slow. Travis Rhodes, thank you for the super chat. Yes, I need to get some WD-40 on those doors. All right, so you know what I'm going to do here? I'm just going to go back and just tweak my settings on the camera, because this is not good. I mean, look at this. That's coming over the USB right now. So yeah, we got to do some work here. So let's go. What I'm going to do here is go back, and I might hook this up to a computer running OBS just to see if there's something else we need to do. But I'm going to change this, and we're going to stop that input. And we're going to go back here. I'm just going to have it go on the default. This time I'm going to just have it come over at 30p and just see what happens. Okay. All right, that's better. So it could just be a little translation issue with my TriCat, or my, oh, see, it's still, that's terrible. All right, so that's not a good start. So we're going to have to get another computer out here and see what it does. Now, what I'm curious of is what happens when, so remember this thing has a switch on the top. So I'm going to switch this now to the record mode, the SD card. And as expected, it kills the PC input. So let's get rid of that. And I'm assuming now if I just hit record, maybe not, okay. So now what's it doing? Okay, so it looks like it's, okay, so now it's recording. So what we're going to do is just run around in Animal Crossing here for a minute. And this is a TN display, by the way, so it's very directional, so you got to be kind of right in front of it. So the angle I have right now is kind of just shooting downward. And by the way, this is my daughter's character who's playing here. So let's just do a little recording session. What I'm looking for on the recording is whether or, oops, I always went through the flowers. I should not have done that. What I'm looking for on the recording is whether or not we're going to have any things breaking up and getting all choppy on us. And I'm going to probably hook up a laptop just because it didn't like vMix at all. And it's not a good sign if it didn't like vMix. Okay, so I've recorded some video onto the SD card. I'm going to hit the record button here to stop it. We're going to wait for it to finish doing whatever it's doing. And I think we're good there. Yeah, we'll try it without the splitter too and just see what happens. Although this, this splitter, and actually most splitters, believe it or not, most splitters actually make the signal better in my experience. So maybe it's just this particular splitter that's complicating things, but all right, what's it doing? It's like just blinking green. I'm assuming that it's finished. One of the things that I found, this was back in the days when I first got started, I had the original Blackmagic ATEM Mini TV Studio box, and that thing was super finicky about the signal strength over HDMI. And I had a camera that I could not get to work no matter what I did until I put it into a splitter. So I didn't even split the signal. I just kind of used the splitter as a booster, and that fixed my problem. All right. So we will definitely, though, try that. And we'll see what happens. Spuds has got to run. Well, thank you for joining us while you could. And what I'm going to do now is, let's just go switch it back into PC mode here. And it looks like it kind of reboots itself. And we'll go straight in. So we'll grab the HDMI off of here. And we'll just go directly in. But again, this also, if it doesn't work with a splitter, and it might just be this splitter that's being problematic, but if it doesn't work with a splitter, you've got a problem also because you're not going to be able to see your, you're going to have latency issues, right? All right, so let me go back to camera. Here, I'll just show you what I'm looking at. So let's go add input, camera. All right, it's not showing up now on the list of devices, so it looks like we've got to unplug it and plug it back in again. So I switched it back to PC mode. Okay, now it's coming back up. Yeah. All right. So TrapExit makes a good point that you may have to specifically set it to MJPEG, or okay, that's a good point as well. So it might not be as simple as going with the default. So let's do the default though first to see what happens. Okay, so right now, here, I'll show you what I'm doing here. Going back to this input default, and yeah, so we'll say default there. Video format's default, but maybe we'll try one of these in a minute and see if that improves anything. I'll hit OK. And let's see what happens here. So here is, yeah, so we're still getting Tons of lag. Okay, so let's switch it over. And it's not killing my CPU or anything either. So let's go switch it back over. I'll pull this back up so you can see what I'm doing. So we'll go back to here, and we'll click on change. It'll kill the connection temporarily. And we'll go back to this, and we'll select the video format as MJPEG first. And let's see if that improves things. That does look better, doesn't it? Yeah, that's much better. Okay, so good. All right, TrapExit gets the seal of approval for today. Yeah, that's much smoother. Okay, it's definitely laggy. You know, I wouldn't expect it not to be, especially because we're running through vMix and everything. So that's, you know, that's going to have some impact. Now, what I like to check on vMix is the stats screen here. So let's go to the performance statistics. And what we want to look for is this thing here. And yeah, there we go. So it's dropped 2 frames, but those could have been when it first connected. And there was 1 resync frame, but I haven't seen any since that. And you know, that box that we looked at the other day, that other cheap box, that one was resyncing constantly, which means it was running a bit ahead. Okay, there's another resync. So it looks like this is having some of the similar issues we had with the other one. So sometimes these boxes run a little faster, but it doesn't really make too much of a difference here. And in case you're curious, my daughter and I have this island together, and you know, I'm all about making the money. So what I did is I went to another island and I got a peach, and I turned that peach into essentially a bank. So every couple of days we harvest all the peaches and make big money. This is all peach plants here, and we're an apple island. So this was big money for us. So yeah, so it's a capture device, not bad. So what I want to do now is take a look at the quality of the recording that we just got. And I'm going to, I guess I'll put it into my laptop here just because I have it already connected to the video system. And we'll pop out the SD card. And we'll go back in and see. I should have put this back on the Amazon product carousel. We'll go back in here and see what this looks like. So let's get the laptop up on screen here and see what happens. So I have a little bit more to do with this. I'm most curious to see what the recording quality is and what the bit rate is on that. So let me just plug this into the USB port there. How is it 3 o'clock already? Jeez. I've been at this an hour. Have we been going an hour? No, 37 minutes, yeah. I don't feel like I've gotten very far yet, but we'll get there. Okay, so what did I just put in? Okay, so it looks like oh, you know what? I used this disk to restore my Surface the other day, and this looks like it's probably NTFS, so it's probably not going to work. Hang on. That may be why it was blinking. Let me go and look at the file info here. Oh, it's FAT32. Okay, we're fine. So let's go into DCIM, and it looks like that's the file that recorded. Now, the playback that you're going to see here is not going to look good because I'm doing this NDI thing right now. But let's just take a look at the properties, and I'll tell you how this looks. So it was capturing at 1080p, 60 frames per second, and the data rate is like 16 megabits per second. So not bad. I mean, it's a doable data rate. And let me just see. Like I said, this is not going to play back smoothly for you because it's over NDI. But it looks good to me. Let me just fast forward to when I'm running around. Oh, you know what's weird? It wasn't recording when I thought it was recording. So I might just run it. I may run this again and get a better recording. So the good news is it actually looks good. I just can't get it to a spot where you can look at it right now. But it's not. It's good. It's good. So let me just do one more recording on here, and then we'll try this again. It's just hard to know what it's doing. And the other thing I'm curious about is, yeah, so this is not bad. I'm going to give it the not bad. And actually, it might be pretty useful because that's what's so fun about doing these office hours. Because I would have written it off right out of the gate with that issue until TrapExit told us that we were doing it wrong. What I will say with this is that it might be really useful because it is a recorder and it is a capture device, but not both at the same time. So you have to kind of balance what your needs are that way. And I always come into this with a healthy dose of skepticism. So it looks as though it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. All right, so let's switch it over to SD card mode. And we're going to put the card back in, if I can get it out of the card reader it's in. This, by the way, is one of these, I was using this in my car for a while. This is one of these cards that are designed to be written to a lot, the high endurance card. So they're over-provisioned, given that they're constantly being written to. A good pairing for a recorder like this. Okay, so now we've got a green light. But I don't know, so it might just be that it starts recording if it has a card in there. I don't know. Let's plug in the HDMI though. Get that going. And okay, so now we're wait for the splitter to catch up. Okay, so now it's green. So I'm assuming if I push the button, it may take it a while to start recording. Maybe that's what it is, because it's just kind of blinking here. Remember we saw that thing blinking? So maybe it's like a double tap to, maybe I should read the instructions. How about that? So the instructions here don't tell you anything. This is all this warranty stuff. All right, so let me hit it again, because I think what happened was, I mean, you would think this would turn red if it was recording, but maybe not. So let me go find the thing here. Yeah, the color looks okay. I will say that it was looking a little dimmer in my vMix system than it was on. This is a Narvik capture. I'm just trying to find the documentation for it, because the other problem with this is that the documentation link in the manual is not valid. It's not taking me there. It's telling me that the page does not exist. So we're going to go visit their website real quick here. And we're going to see if we can find. So you know what? It's not even on their website. That's the problem. So they have two things on here, a Saturn NS. This is not, actually, did we just look at the Saturn thing? I think we did. So let me type in RV Capture U2 HD 60 Pro. I'm just curious if maybe it's recording now. Yeah, it takes you right to the, oh, here we go. Is this it? Yes. That's buried, huh? So here's all the parts. Okay, so recording into SD card is green blink. Oh, so red is bad. So right now it is recording. So let me stop it. And now solid green is standby ready. So we're going to hit the button again, and now it's recording. And what I like to do is just run the character around here, just to see what that does. All right, so we'll do that, and now I'll hit the button. And now we're done recording, and I'm guessing it's probably safe to pop the card out, so I will do that. And you know what I'll do is maybe we will connect this Mac to the monitor here, and just so that way you can see it playing back more smoothly. Because I'm just doing this NDI capture right now, which is not the ideal way to do it. So I'm going to grab the monitor's output and slide the monitor over a little bit without breaking things. Oh, losing all the stuff. And we'll plug the monitor into that, and we'll see what we get here. Okay, and I'm just going to cancel my existing capture here. Okay, there we go. All right, so let me pull up on the Mac here. And of course, the Mac is not seeing the card now, so let me get that fixed. I got too much stuff going on here. Okay, here's the disk. So let's go to DCIM, and we'll go to 100 media. And this is what we should have just recorded. Oops. Okay, so let's go play that. I'm just going to make sure I got the right file. Yeah, okay, so let me put this onto the other screen. And we can watch that. All right, here we go. Now, again, the bit rate here is 16. It's kind of a weird bit rate. Maybe that's accounting for the audio. It's 16.37 megabits per second. But it's good. I mean, the color looks the same as it did before. It's not dropping any frames. At least it doesn't look like it is. And that's the recording off the SD card. That looks pretty good. So this could be really useful, right? Because you could have this kind of being a a capture device when you're home, but it could also serve as a nice recorder. You could do, like an, you know what I would even do with this? Like you could pair this up with the Blackmagic A10 Mini we just looked at, right? So you could have it recording off the HDMI. If you just have the regular Mini, save you some money. Now, granted, I don't know how. I mean, the reliability is always the question. It's it's a brand we haven't heard of before. How well will it work? Would it be able to do a longer recording? But it looks like it's got a built-in H.264 encoder, and that seems to be working pretty well here. So, not bad. What do you all think? Let me know what you think. Pretty good. All right, so good stuff. All right, so that is this capture device. I'll probably do a little review of this thing. This might be useful to some folks. So, pretty cool. Okay, we're good there. It looks like some folks lost signal. When you guys lost me, did you see my slate that popped up with like the thing saying we'll be right back? Oh, it looks like it went dark completely here for a second. I don't know. Huh. So I'm not seeing it on my end, so it may be a YouTube thing. I have found that the Amazon stream tends to be more reliable, so for whatever that's worth. Okay, so now we're going to move this out of the equation for a few minutes. And we're going to move on to the next item on my list today. This is good. I think this one might be a fun little value. I mean, $50. $50. So not a bad deal. Yeah, if you ever want a better streaming experience, the Amazon link is really good because I found Amazon doesn't have as many creators streaming at the same time. At least, they have Twitch, of course, but I've found people think the quality on the Amazon stream is also better. So you can jump over there if you want. And if you follow me there, you may actually get notifications, which doesn't seem to happen elsewhere. Okay. So now we're going to look at this. Now, I want some opinions on this. And Top Tier asked a question about laptops. Yeah, I can get to a question about laptops in a little bit. If you want to ask it now, we can take a look as we're going through stuff. Now, what this device claims that you can use, it does a couple things. It will translate game controllers from one system to the other. We're going to try it with the Switch now. But we're going to move, in my full review, I'll look at an Xbox as well. I don't have a PlayStation, so we'll do the Xbox and the Switch. That hopefully would be enough for people to get a feel for it. It will apparently translate game controllers from one system to the other, but it also apparently allows you to use a keyboard and mouse with the system. That's what they say it does. And what I am going to do, as I just realized, we need to get the monitor hooked up to the Switch again. So we're going to disconnect this from the laptop, and I am going to grab this out of there, and get that out of there, and we'll disconnect this, and we'll plug this into the back of the monitor here. There's always stuff to disconnect and reconnect here. HDMI is over here. Okay. Okay, there we go. So now we should see the switch coming back on. And what I want to try, we're going to move from like the peaceful and tranquil Animal Crossing, which, by the way, I bought this game for my kids thinking that it would be a fun thing to do together, which it's turned out to be a really fun thing to do with my two girls. But I actually like Animal Crossing, and I have like a little island and everything. Okay. All right, so what we're unboxing now is this Keymander device. And I might have to grab an app for this also. We'll see what the process is on it. Now again, what this will do apparently is allow us to use a keyboard and mouse with our Switch on top of other things. And we're going to try it with Doom 3. So Top Tier is saying he's got a MacBook Air and he's looking to buy something new. So I am very reluctant to recommend that people buy Macs right now because they are about to switch to ARM. And I think that's going to be a very big change for the Mac platform. And typically, I found with Apple, they tend to keep support for their laptops, especially the top tier ones, for like 8 to 10 years. I don't think you're going to get that long out of the current generation of Intel MacBooks. I think they're going to get away from it very quickly. So my advice would be, if you can, I guess you can't wait because your MacBook is dead, but maybe buy a used one or something just to hold you over until those new ones come out. You know, I need to read the instructions on this because I have no idea what I'm doing. So let's get this set up here so you can see what it looks like. So this is, let me select it on our thing here. This is the IO Gear Caliber Gaming line, and this is their Keymander 2. And somebody joked that they made a second one. I never knew there was a first one. And again, this is a translation device, and apparently it gives you the ability to do mouse and keyboard with your consoles, among other things. Asmir is here from Bosnia. Welcome. And we have somebody from Portugal, BJCast69. And Top Tier is wondering, when do I think the Apple Silicon stuff is coming? I think we're going to see a MacBook Air before the end of the year with Apple Silicon. And I bet you they probably would have had it by WWDC, but because of the COVID stuff, they probably got delayed. But I think it's coming up real soon. All right, so this is their product catalog of all their different products. IO Gear makes a lot of stuff that I do like their stuff. They've got a lot of neat little doodads and some things that other companies don't have. And don't you think it's cool that we're still seeing, like, 'cause remember, like, back in the old days, you'd always get the little guide of all the different products. People don't do this anymore. I think this is really helpful to see what else they sell. I like that. It's old school. All right. And we got a little note here. Oh, by the way, this came in free of charge through the Amazon Vine program, as did actually everything. I think everything on the stream today came in through the Amazon Vine program. So this came in free of charge, but I have no contact with the company. You know, it's not a direct, you know, they offer to reach to help you with it, but you don't work with the company on this stuff. It all comes in from Amazon. All right, so that's a little letter. I'm surprised there's no documentation on this. All right, so maybe we'll just plug it in and see what happens. Am I missing something? There shouldn't be. You would think there's some documentation. And I know there's like, it's probably got some complexity to it because they really want you to go to their support pages here. All right, so I may just go to their website in a second here. Let's plug it in and see if we can get it working without anything. So we're going to connect it up to the switch. Now, if you have a switch, there are USB ports on your dock, 2 of them. So I'm just going to plug that in. And it's lighting up blue here. And I happen to have both a keyboard and a mouse right nearby here. So I've got, I mean, if we're going to game, we may as well use a real gaming keyboard. And I've got a mouse that was over here at some, here it is. You know what, I think this might be, yeah, how about that? So what's funny is I have one of their gaming mice. They sell some like inexpensive gaming mice and actually have their gaming mouse here. How about that? Okay, so we're going to hook up the mouse, and let's see what happens when we hook the mouse up. It does come on, and I don't think we're going to see a mouse pointer, of course, because there wouldn't be one. And now I'm going to connect up the keyboard. And I got this Corsair gaming keyboard here, so let's plug that in. All right, so nothing's happening yet, but that's okay. So let's go over to Doom 3, and let's see what happens. So we got some comments in on the Amazon chat. We have Kevin B. from Indiana. Welcome. Misfit says, if I saw correctly, that letter seemed to say it's configurable with an Android smart app. Yeah, it looks like there is an app. So maybe I will try to get that app going real quick. I do have, oh, okay, that's my controller. So let me just load the game up here. There's some buttons on here too. But it's just odd that they wouldn't include any instructions. Like you would think you'd give some kind of guidance. So there is an app on the App Store, easy to use mobile app. Use a keyboard and mouse in place of your, so I'm just going to read what the box says here. Use a keyboard and mouse in place of your controller on Xbox One, blah, 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 Switch, you name it. Play FPS games like PUBG and Call of Duty with increased speed and accuracy, which is controversial because you might be cheating if you are doing multiplayer stuff. Android and iOS apps provide configuration for custom key mapping, mouse sensitivity, macro functions, and more. Connect a smartphone while gaming to make on-the-fly adjustments. Download and share game profiles using the Keymander online forum. Crossover function lets you swap controllers between the PS4, Okay. So, and nothing's like coming on here either, so I wonder if I need to connect some power to it. We're going to go to the website first and just see if we can get some info on how all this is supposed to work. So let me pull up I'm going to give you my desktop again here. So we're going to add input. We'll go to NDI and bring in my MacBook. Okay. And Kevin B says it's like Max Headroom. Every now and then the words repeat. Is that my fault or is that the streaming problem? Misfit says, I'd like to know if you can assign buttons to whatever keys you want on the fly or not. That would be what I'd want for a device like this that I can use with consoles. So I would like to know that as well, because right now nothing's coming on. I bet you we got to give some power to this box, so let's do that next. And I have power down here. So there is a power input on the box here. So let's plug some power into this thing and see what happens. Because the keyboard is not even coming on. Okay, now the keyboard's on. So it looks like we needed power to get all this stuff working. And I'm still not seeing anything. However, I bet you if we go into our controller configuration, let's find controllers. Okay, so we're going to need to download that smart app and see what happens. Okay, so let's go back to, and what I will do is get the game started because I have not played, I just bought this game today. It was like $7 or $8. Oh, I seriously got to do a whole account thing? I don't want to do an account right now. I kind of just log in. I don't even know what my account stuff is. All right, good. New game, Doom 3. We're going to keep it simple here. I try to keep our guy alive for a little bit. Okay. Yeah, by the way, Louis Rossman repaired one of my MacBooks. My wife's MacBook died. All right, so let that run here for a second. And I'm going to go and look up the manual for this to try to figure out how this works. So I/O Gear Keymander 2. I'm just surprised that they would not have any instructions. There's like this little quick start. Okay, there's a quick start guide. And it's saying what we experienced, which is that you probably need to have the power attached. Before you begin using your Keymander, you will need to download the most recent user guide, as well as the Android or iOS Keymander 2 app. Okay, so let me grab the app and see what that does. And this is why we call this office hours, because this is like my first experience with this stuff. So let's grab the app here, and I will share my screen with you in a minute once this downloads. So there is one for iOS. Now, what would be super cool is if this had like some kind of Bluetooth on it, so you wouldn't, I don't know how the phone's going to communicate with this. I'm guessing it's going to be some kind of Bluetooth thing. All right. Okay, so it is using Bluetooth. So let me pull this up so you can all see it. So let's go and do a NDI broadcast through the magic of NDI. All right, so that's going. Let me add this to my NDI. And maybe we can get by with just the phone. Okay, so here we go. Connect to PS4, Xbox. All right, so let's skip that. We have the keyboard and mouse connected. If you're using keyboard, plug the receiver, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we got those connected. We recommend you connect power, which we did because it doesn't really work well without power. Got the console connected. We are good there. So we're going to go to complete. All right, so now it's looking for it. So it is doing some kind of Bluetooth thing. Press device's left side button to turn on Bluetooth. Okay, there we go. We had to push the button. And now I'm going to connect to that one. Well, that's a pretty clever way to configure things. And of course, there's a firmware update available. Now to give this a fair shake, we're going to have to do that. So let's download the firmware. And syncing with device. That's what it says right now. I'll show you what we see on screen here. Update. Okay, so this is going to be a quick restart for consistent, and whatever. We'll hit the update. Update may take 1 to 10 minutes. Well, let's just do it because, you know, like I don't want to get into something where this is not going to work. And for the gamers out there, I'm guessing if I am using mice and keyboard with a, with a console, I can't imagine that not being cheating in a multiplayer game. Correct me if I'm wrong. We'll have to see. Top tier, thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it. And good luck with the MacBook. Yeah, I would, if you could, I would wait a little bit because I don't think Apple's going to just abandon it right away. But once they get moving in a direction, they tend to just drop the platform completely. And we saw that before. So Demon says, YouTube is going to be banned in Pakistan. That stinks. Well, if that's the case, you can find me on Amazon because I'll still be there. And right now, it's just going through its update. So I'll show you what's on screen right here. It's doing it's got a bunch of little components to it. I bet you there's a lot going on inside of this little box. All right, so firmware is updated. All right, so now we're going to change. So let's connect. Okay, there we go. It looks like you can download the profile from the phone to the device here. All right, so add to my, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to see what I'm So right now it's on default PS4, but I want to, all right, we're going to go to default mode 2. Let me pull it back up what I'm looking at here so you can see what I'm looking at. Mapping. So how do I set this to the switch? So we hit this one here. I'm just going through all this stuff to see where it is. Mouse DPI. So you can actually adjust the mouse sensitivity, which is cool. But where is it that you set the system? Mapping, macro. Huh. Yeah, I could see this being a big problem for, here we go, default NS. So this is what we want. So we're going to switch to the switch. So now we are on default. Okay, so let's try the default here and just see what happens. So I've got it set as the default. Oh, look at that, the mouse is working. Hang on, let me show you. Look at that. And if I hit the key on the keyboard, so it's like super sensitive here, so we're probably going to want to adjust the mouse DPI. So I'm guessing it's at 4,000 right now, so I think we want to probably set this to like, let's see what 300 does. That's much better. So I just changed it on the phone on the fly here. And I think we have to go and get, and we have to map the buttons out. So X is talk. So this is going to be tricky, right? Because we've got to map different buttons to different things. So we're going to go back to the phone here. Hang on. So here, let me pull this back up so you can see what I'm working on here in 1 second. I'm just going to turn my Do Not Disturb on. Okay, so if we go into this and go to mapping, so right now the X button is mapped to the middle mouse button, but maybe I want that to be something else. So maybe on here, I want it to be, instead of the middle mouse button, I was listening, I'm going to hit the E key just for the heck of it. Look at that. Huh, this is pretty cool. Tell you, we're really hitting it big today with this stuff. Like all this stuff is working. So now if I hit E, oops, it's got, what was that? So apparently that's the ducking button, which I did not want that to be. Oh, I see, because, all right, so you know what I did wrong here? I assigned the key to the wrong thing. So let's go back to mapping and, oops. Well, it says X is talk, but if I hit X, he's not talking, he's just like, he's kneeling. So I guess there's probably some collision here between that. So let me switch that out. So I'll hit that middle mouse button again and see what happens. So I have it now set to what it was before. There he goes, now he's talking. I don't know what he's saying because I don't have sound hooked up. Let's see. Well, I'll tell you what, that's pretty neat. So I'm on a Nintendo Switch, and I'm playing this game the way it was designed to be played, right, with a mouse and keyboard. I don't think it's laggy either. It feels pretty good. You know, it's funny. This feels really natural. It doesn't feel like it's being emulated. I just don't have sound on, so I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing at the moment here. There we go. And we need to unlock the door, I'm guessing. Huh, pretty cool. What do you all think of that? Pretty neat. All right, so it's scanning under, oh, I guess you have to go through the cinematics here before you can get into the, all right, so target free of all this stuff. Okay, so, okay, now we're in here. I'm guessing that's a friendly thing. You know, it's funny, I remember when I first played this game, it was probably 2004 or so, and I had a PC that was really struggling to, to play it. And now you can play it on a little handheld machine here without any problems. Yeah, so I'll have to play around with the key settings, but this is pretty cool. Yeah, good stuff. That works. And then then you can map everything. So as you can see here, we've got macros that we can set. We have sensitivity, and you have, look at this, walk mode. Jeez, we have to spend some time with this. This is really cool. And then you can also, so you can map the D-pad, like everything you can map here. So these are mapped right now to the arrow keys. So that's really cool. So now what I want to try is, let's try to hook up an Xbox controller, because I just so happen to have one, at least I did have one on the floor here. Now I don't. I've got a Sega Genesis controller. Where did it go? Let me go grab my Xbox controller real quick, and we'll try out something else here. Because normally you couldn't just plug an Xbox controller into your Switch. But apparently, with this box, you can do that. It'll just kind of translate between the two. And we've looked at things that have done this kind of thing before. So I think in the past we looked at that 8-bit Do box that did that. So that was kind of neat. All right, so let's plug this in. All right, so I just plugged in the Xbox controller. And so, oh, interesting here. So it looks like it just disconnected. Like it says it doesn't have a controller hooked up. And I'm going to power this on. And right now it's blinking. So I think we might have to tell this thing that we're using a game controller. Oh, look at this. It's also got profiles. So I could download a profile for the game I'm playing. So that's helpful to map to get everything mapped together ahead of time. It's funny, I've never looked at these things before, so that's pretty cool. All right, so let's go over to here, and how do I just like swap it out? Unless I can hit this button here, maybe? I'm not sure what all these buttons do yet. Oh, I see, these are all keyboard mappings, so I think we want to do a new one. So let's do default mode 2. And I wonder how I tell it I just want to use the game controller. Maybe I have to disconnect the mouse and keyboard. Let's see. Okay, so we unplug those. Maybe the game controller will just come up now. I don't know. It's kind of just blinking here on me, so I'm not sure what the process is for getting that to work with it. Pretty cool. I'm going to check the Amazon chat here, see what I'm missing. So we did have a bunch of comments on the Amazon chat. Might be a fairly niche market for that product, to be honest. I bet you that's probably right. But I think if you're somebody, so I have, and Razer makes one of these. It's for PC gaming, but it's like a lapboard keyboard and mouse, like kind of built in. It's a smaller mouse, but it has a little dongle. Now I wonder though, if I'm not mistaken, that has both the keyboard and the mouse going over a single connection, and this looks like it needs a distinct connection for each thing here. But I think if you wanted to play Doom, the way it was designed to be played with a mouse and keyboard, that would probably be pretty cool. Misfit says, the one concern I'd have, particularly for the PS4, is whether the frequent firmware updates of consoles will interfere with the compatibility in the long term. Yeah, I think that's probably something it's probably going to be a cat and mouse game on the configuration. So I'm going to have to do a little bit more with this, and this is going to be one of those reviews that takes forever, because there's 12,000 features that I've got to dig through, so I need to look into that. Derek Laredo says it's called the Razer Turret. Yeah, that's what it's called. I have like the older, there's a new one and an older one. I have the older one. It's upstairs. So we'll have to try that out. But yeah, it's kind of, for something that I hadn't heard of before. I know the company, IO Gear, I know pretty well. But yeah, the syncing is pretty slick. It's all over Bluetooth, and like I just missed the form here when I was looking at it, but this is really, I think, really slick. There's even more stuff. I'm like there's miles of depth on this. So you have you can invert the mouse movement. You can edit the dead zone. You have a curve of mouse velocity that you can set. This is crazy. Look at all this stuff. And I guess you have that because you're emulating an analog control, right? So there's a lot of flexibility that you can push over that thing there. But geez, I just got to figure out how to get how to do the controller mapping. So I'll download some documentation and I do the full review and have a little bit more on that one. But that's really cool. That's neat. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. This was fun. I now have work to do. I've got to do. I do want to shoot, and I'm not going to do it during the stream because I've got to reset the desk here and everything. But I do want to shoot a review real quick of that iPad keyboard, which I'm going to do after I end the stream, because I got to bring that iPad back to my mom. So I've got to do that. So we're going to do that and see what happens. And then tonight we have the video. So remember we did the live stream on Saturday, was it? We did the live stream Saturday with the Sega Saturn and the Dreamcast. That video goes up tonight. I've got that Logitech keyboard in the hopper. And then I've got another one in the hopper. We shot a PC on a stick yesterday, so that one Jake is editing today. And then we'll have the iPad keyboard thing. I have 2 laptops that came in that we did on the last stream. And I just got in another laptop from Lenovo, which is an ARM-based Windows laptop, the new Flex 5G. So I'm going to be playing with that today and tomorrow. So we got lots of stuff to play with. The air conditioning guy is coming tomorrow because my unit in the office has not been working. And then the upstairs air conditioning is all messed up. So I'm going to be playing with that laptop while he's working and making noise. So that's the game plan for the short term here. So yeah, this is good stuff. So yeah, if any of you have questions, I'm happy to answer some more questions. I'm going to probably end the stream in about 5 minutes or so. Let me just pull the Amazon chat back up here again and see what we've got. Misfit wants to know if I ever stream on Twitch. I don't. I've done a few streams here and there. I think I might start doing a little bit more on Twitch when my connection gets upgraded. So we're about to get a multi-gigabit connection here at the house, going fiber optic and all that good stuff so far, hopefully. So that is on the horizon. So when that happens, I will probably be streaming to more places just because I'll have more upstream bandwidth. So I'm looking at probably Twitch some nights. I'm probably going to look at doing LinkedIn also. So right now we're doing Amazon and YouTube, but I do have a good LinkedIn following, so I might start doing some live stuff over there for the heck of it. I just haven't been doing a lot just because my connection hasn't been that reliable. So that's been kind of the limiting factor. Although the way I'm streaming now, I'm doing it through, long story, but I have this Amazon S3 thing that I stream to, and then it pushes it out to the other services, and that's been helpful, primarily because when I lose connection, except the time that just happened now, but that was YouTube's problem. When I lose connection now, it'll put up a slate to say, hey, I'll be right back, stick around. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Yeah, I'm intrigued. So Ken Drigger says the Lenovo sounds interesting. Yeah, I'm intrigued with it because I looked at one from Asus about 2 years ago, and it was expensive as this one is. I think this is like $1,500 or $1,200 to start. But you get really good battery life out of it because it is an ARM processor. And surprisingly, it really did the x86 stuff, the 32-bit, I think it was only running the 32-bit x86 apps, but it was running them really well, but it wasn't very fast. So it was like the equivalent on non-native software. It was like the equivalent of a Gemini Lake PC. So I'm eager to see if they've improved it because this one has the new Qualcomm chip in it. So we'll be taking a look at that. Tom Brown asks, is there any good secondhand DSLR cameras? I think there's quite a few of them out there. What I would look for, I'm a Nikon person, so I don't have a lot of experience with Canons, but I would look for one of the devices, especially if you want to do video work, that can do a clean HDMI output. So that way you can get the full frame out the HDMI. So I have a Nikon D600, which is an older camera now. I got it right before my daughter was born, about 8 years ago. But that one's been working really well for me. And yeah, BB Garnett, the Flex, yeah, so that's what they sent me, was the Flex 5G. I don't have 5G where I live, at least I don't think I do. So one of the things I'll do tomorrow with it is drive around and see if I have it anywhere. I definitely don't have it at my house, because I don't have anything here. So we'll see how that works. But there are, and I guess there are some ARM optimized, I don't know if there's any games that are optimized for ARM. I'll have to check and see. And it'll be good for Microsoft, because I think a lot of the ARM optimization software they're selling through the store. So I think Microsoft really wants a piece of that app business. No question about it. Richard Thompson's asking, are there any ETAs on the fiber? I don't have an ETA yet, but I have received calls and I've signed documents. So that is a good sign. I think they say typically the construction, they call it construction. The construction's about 90 days, so I don't know where I'm at in that, but I would expect before the end of the year, I think, is when we'll have it hooked up. And I just ordered so I'm going to redo my equipment room over there. I got a rack mount, so I'm going to rack mount the stuff they're sending me. I upgraded the router, so I got a UDM Pro from Unify coming in, so I'm going to swap out of the Dream Machine I have now to that one. So I'm going to put that in the rack. I'm going to put whatever Comcast has in the rack, and I'm going to put my switch in the rack. And then I got a shelf to put my UPS on. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. So the good news is nobody has tried to burn down my cell towers here. The tower nearest my house is on top of this huge water tower, so they're going to have a hard time getting up there. So we'll have to see. Around here, we're a little bit more into the facts and science, so I don't think we're too concerned about the cell phone towers, because we need it here. We're really, we're at a disadvantage with our connectivity, for sure. All right, everybody. Well, I am going to say goodbye to the Amazon audience. Thanks for stopping in. And we're going to end the YouTube chat here, because I've got to reset for a quick review shoot of that Logitech keyboard and trackpad. And we had a good number of views today on the Amazon side. I think it's probably due to the fact that we had an iPad product in the stream, so that usually helps with stuff. And then I also have to clean up my office, because the air conditioning guy's coming over and it's embarrassing right now. And I already cleaned it once and it was looking better, but now I've messed it up again. So stay tuned. Lots more to come. And I thank you all for watching today and watching all the time. And I have one thank you, I think, for Travis for the super chat. Get that WD-40 going on that door hinge. I know, I got to do it. I actually like the sound, because I know when somebody's coming in or out of the house. Like one of the kids tries to escape, I can hear them leaving. So, all right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and I will be back again soon. I do these every couple of days. So what you might want to do is go over to the Amazon link and click on the notification, because it seems like that one works better than the YouTube one. Yeah. Thanks for stopping by, everybody, and I will talk to you all very soon, and that'll do it for now. Bye-bye.